Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Indian Kitchen Abroad. This week we are going to make samosas, aloo samosas. I don't think I have to tell you what a samosa is, but I have to tell you this. These are not that difficult to make at home. Let's start with boiling the potatoes. Boil them for 40 to 45 minutes or until they are tender. Peel the skin off and let them chill in the fridge for at least 1 hour. While they are resting, let's make the dough for samosas. Take 1.5 cups or 200 grams of all-purpose flour. Add about a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of crushed carom seeds, ajwain, just crush them between your palms. Now add 3 tablespoons or 40 grams of vegetable oil. If you want, you can add some melted butter or ghee instead of oil. Adding fat to the flour will result in crispy crust, so don't skip this step. The ratio of the fat and flour is also important here. If you add too much fat, you'll get oily samosas. If you add less fat, the crust will not be perfect. The ideal ratio of fat and flour is 1:5. For 500 grams of flour, add 100 grams of fat. I'm using 200 grams of flour, so add 40 grams of fat. Now mix that oil thoroughly with the flour until it resembles wet sand. And you can observe the color change in flour as well. And if you press some of that flour and oil mixture, it should hold the shape, and that's when you know it's right. Now add small amount of water at a time and knead this into a tight dough. Add just enough water to get the dough together. When all the dough has come together, move it onto a clean countertop surface and get some nice upper body workout. I mean, knead it. Burn some calories before you eat some. If you are a beginner, follow this to knead the dough. Rest your least dominant hand on the back of the dough, and with your other hand, press the dough and push it away from you with the heel of your hand. And continue to do this for 5 to 8 minutes. You don't want to overwork this dough. At the same time, you have to knead this for some time. Kneading helps in gluten formation. If you overwork the dough, the gluten formed will make the crust stretchy and chewy, which you don't want. If you don't knead this for a certain time, the dough will fall apart because of the too little gluten and makes it difficult to work with. If the dough is too dry when you're kneading, just wet your hands with very little water and continue kneading. A good 5 to 10 minute knead is enough for the right gluten formation and perfect samosas. Also, the timing depends on your flour, temperature and many other things. A thumb of rule should be this. When you pull apart the dough, it should not tear easily. It should give some pull. Or when you lightly press on the dough, it should spring back. And when you see it, that's your cue to stop kneading and rest the dough. In total, I used about 1/4 cup of water. As you can see, the dough clearly springs back. Cover the dough with a lightly damp cloth or a paper towel for 45 minutes. During this time, the gluten relaxes and makes the dough easier to roll out. In the meantime, let's take care of the filling. I'm keeping the filling really simple. Just chop an inch of ginger and green chilies according to your taste. Also, mash the potatoes. Just mash them roughly. Few chunks of potatoes will give some texture and bite. Also, get a bigger plate. Now let's bring this together. Add a teaspoon of cumin seeds in a pan with about 1 tablespoon of hot oil. Saute the ginger and green chilies for a couple of minutes and add the spices. About 1.5 tablespoons of crushed coriander seeds. If you have mortar and pestle, use it, or just pulse it in a spice grinder. A teaspoon of turmeric powder. 1.5 tablespoon of chaat masala. Saute this for a couple of seconds and add the crushed potatoes and some green peas as well. I'm using frozen peas. I forgot to add salt before. Now do yourself a favor and add salt along with other spices. That way salt will be mixed with potatoes evenly and easily. Give it a taste test and adjust the seasoning according to your taste. Now let's keep that aside and make samosas. Take that resting dough and divide into equal portions of about 40 grams. Give them a decent shape and make them into balls. Roll these balls into an elliptical thin sheet. Elliptical, oval, oblong, whatever you want to call it. Now keep rest of them covered when you're working on one. First, let's get rid of that annoying reflection. That's better. I'm rolling this quite thin and that's how I like it. You can keep the sheet thick if you want, it's your call. I'm rolling this into a thickness of about 2 millimeters. Now cut each sheet into 2 halves along the minor axis. Did I remind you the mathematics you learned? It's the shorter side. Now each half is going to make 1 samosa. It doesn't have to be an ellipse, it can be a bad rectangle as well. Do this with all the portions you made and keep all the halves covered so that they don't dry out. I forgot to add pepper in the filling. Add some freshly ground black pepper according to your taste and give it a good mix. And now the easiest part, shaping the samosas. Take one of the halves we made earlier and apply some water along the edges with your finger. Think of this semi-ellipse as a triangle. Bring the farthest two corners of that triangle towards the third corner, overlapping the two edges like so to form a cone. Gently press those overlapping edges so that they stick together. The water we applied along the edges will help with that. Make a circular stand with your thumb and forefinger and place the cone with the same side on your thumb. Now fill the cone with the potato filling. Start with smaller pieces like peas or smaller potatoes so that there won't be any vacant spots at the apex or vertex. Sorry about too much geometry in this video. Make sure there is enough dough to close the samosa at the end. Don't fill it too much. Apply some water along the visible edges again. Now on the circular edge of this cone, make a pinch like so and bring both the openings together to enclose the filling. Press the closed edges so that they stick together, and that's it. You have a samosa. Just to make it look good, I cut some part of that base so that it looks even. Give it a gentle press again so that the edges stay shut. The pinch we made on the circular edge will help as a base for the samosa to sit straight. That pinch is not necessary. You can close the samosa without doing that also. Now, to reiterate, water along the edges, form a cone, fill the cone, pinch, close the edges. Repeat the same for rest of the samosas and let them rest for at least 20 minutes. You have to rest them so that the water we applied on the edges completely dries out. After resting them for about 30 minutes, it's time to fry. Start at low temperatures, about 250 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius. Before dropping them in oil, press on the edges again to make sure they're completely closed and drop them gently in the oil. I would add more samosas to fry, but I added too much oil and I don't want hot oil all over the place. You know, Archimedes principle and all that. It's okay, you don't have to know that. Just remember not to add too much oil. In case if you add too much oil, don't add too many samosas. Otherwise oil level increases and comes out of the pan, which is not good and also not safe. If you're wondering, yes, this is just a cooking video. Sorry, I'm not going to make any more references related to mathematics or physics. Okay, initially when you add samosas to the oil, they sink to the bottom, so it's important to move them around. Gently move them around with the back of a spoon. If you don't move them around, you'll get hot spots just like this. Now taste wise there won't be any difference, but hot spots are not that good to look at. Let's fry the next batch. I removed some oil. Gently drop the samosas, move them around with the back of a spoon. Make sure you don't touch the samosas with the sharp edges of your spoon. Once they're cooked a bit, they float to the top. And keep moving them so that you'll get even color all over the samosas. Once they get that golden brown color, take them out and let that excess oil drain. A wire rack would be perfect to rest them after frying, but you can also rest them on a paper towel or a kitchen towel. Fry the rest of the samosas and you're good to go. Serve them with the chutneys we made last week and enjoy them this winter. Try this with all the 3 chutneys in one bite and that is going to be a perfect bite. That's it for today guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like, share it with your friends, family, and consider subscribing. I'll see you next week.